Pearl Talent Collective is a woman-owned consultant firm that is able to coach your HR team to greatness. With 20 years of experience in HR, you would be hard-pressed to find another consultant firm that is able to produce the results needed for today's work environment. From helping your team maintain their goals, all the way to structuring the groundwork for a successful team for your new company and everything in between. Contact Pearl Collective as your consultant today and let success become the new standard. Welcome to the Intoxication Station. I'm Raymond, filming today with Ryan. He's been on the channel once before when we did the recording at Hagen O'Reilly's in Winter Garden. Currently, he's over in Texas, back in his home state, and we're trying out this whole remote video recording. So, Ryan, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. How have you been, bud?
Been doing pretty good. Been busy, but, I mean, such is life. Such is life.
Well, you're always busy.
Gotta be. Just gotta be. Now, I do have to say, I admire the hell out of the background that you chose for today.
This is the standard background that I drink coffee in front of on a daily basis. You know what? For a $7 flag, it works pretty well.
Right.
It's a kind of a placeholder until I get something better put up. But it's been a placeholder for over a year now, so it may be permanent.
Now, I thought that was going to be standard issue for Texas, but
that would be the come and take it flag, which I would like to get at some point.
Nice.
But since Molalabe, same idea, doesn't have the cannon.
Well, Molalabe is very much a more fancier way of saying come take it.
Same idea, just, about 1,000 years apart.
And yeah, same idea through and through. That's crazy. So, last time we recorded, we did get, dare I say, kind of screwed over on memory. Since we're able to do this a little bit more fluidly now, one of the last stories that we were talking about from your time working at Universal Studios was the aforementioned two football celebrities that may or may not have been tried for manslaughter at some point. Would you like to go through and elaborate on that?
I can. I mean, it's your show. I'll talk about whatever you want me to talk about.
Oh, yeah. Come on.
I guess I'm not worried about one of them coming in here and robbing me because I don't have any of his memorabilia. But I'm trying to go back now. It's been 24 years. It was the night of December 31st, 1999. And everyone's worried about Y2K and what it could do to the computer systems that basically everywhere. But no one was sure how it would affect that theme park at the time either. So we were supposed to shut the ride down at like 11:40, and then the fireworks display would go on, and we'd reopen at, I think, 12:30 in the morning or something. And so it's late. Everyone's trying to fight for positions by the big lake and see the fireworks. And we only have a few boats running. I think we had like 3 running. And there's not a lot of people coming in. So we had a lot of people sitting on the boats and waiting and just going about their business and talking and having fun. I was standing in the control tower with that ride operator who releases the boats to go and around the ride. And I was kind of standing there leaning against the wall, and I see these 2 giant shadow dark figures walking in with this tiny little blonde woman between them. And I couldn't make their faces out. It was dark and everything's lit like a dim boathouse in the queue line. So I was like, Jesus Christ, those guys are huge. What the hell's going on? That girl's clearly messed up. You could see her just kind of falling back and forth between the 2 guys. But as they got closer, I still couldn't make out who they were. But I did notice one of them had a giant gold chain on, and it said LT. I was like, no, it can't be. And as soon as they got to the point where they got into the rows, I recognized him. It was Lawrence Taylor, the Hall of Fame linebacker from the Giants, who I can't stand the Giants, but he was a hell of a player.
Nice.
And the other guy, it took me a second to really figure out that I was looking at the original 2,000-yard rusher, Orenthal James Simpson, and I couldn't even tell you how cracked out the blonde chick was between them. But as soon as I saw that, I noticed that they stopped and were trying to figure out what rows they're going to get on. And the first 5 rows are empty. Only the last 3 had people in them. So they jumped in the 4th row. And no one said that they noticed. It didn't act like they recognized them. The girl on the boat that was running the ride, she had no idea. And they just get in the middle, and they're having fun. They're talking loud. They're high-fiving. They're laughing. And then I saw other people coming on in the line to get on the boat, and they would come up and they'd see them and stop and just kind of, okay. So like two people went on, but most everyone that walked up stopped and didn't want to get on the boat. I was like, all right, so just release that boat. So they closed the gates and the girl's doing her spiel and, they go on their little thing. And there's a part before they round the corner of the jetty to go around the first turn where they see this boat sinking and a shark fin come up and everything. There's a part where she listens to a fake distress signal on her headset, which is funny that they want you to touch your head like you're the only one who can hear it because it's broadcast over the entire boat. But during that time, she's not having to do anything. Just there's like 20 seconds where she just has to stand there and pretend like she's listening. So I got on the radio that she can hear, and I said, hey, and I can't remember the girl's name. I said, do you recognize the guys in the fourth row? And I could see her look back at the tower and kind of shake her head like that and then go back to what she's doing. I said, the guy on the left is a Hall of Fame linebacker for the New York Giants, Lawrence Taylor. The one on the right is O.J. Simpson. And as she was turning the corner, she froze. And I could tell I probably shouldn't have done that. So I ran out of the control booth, past the unload area, and had to sprint across this bridge that connects the land to the little island that the boat goes around. And I caught up to it just as they were getting into, and I don't know how many people seeing this have ever been on the Jaws ride that's not there anymore, but the boathouse where it's pitch black and the only thing you can see is this little handheld light that's on a little turret in the front of the boat. And she's supposed to be looking around at all the stuff that's on the sides of this boathouse while they're trying to seek shelter from the shark. And instead of doing what she's supposed to do, she had that light beamed right on the fourth row with these two guys just like doing this, and everyone's just getting uncomfortable. And she's not doing any of her lines. She's just frozen with this light on these two guys. And I'm like, oh, shit. I probably should have done that. I hope to God that there's not anyone from Ride Show on this boat right now because this girl's going to get written up. And of course, the shark smashes through and rises up and chomps down and misses the boat. Still no reaction. I'm like, oh my God. So I ran out and I could see where she's supposed to take out the grenade launcher and shoot at the shark as it jumps up and blow up a gas dock. Never grabbed the grenade launcher. She's just sitting there just stammering. And at this point, I'm like, what are you afraid of? You just do your show. But I can't say anything to her because now I don't have a radio to get to her.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just watching this train wreck. And of course, she goes over to where she's supposed to fry the shark and blow it up. And she's still not doing anything. She's completely shut down. So as the boat leaves that and goes under the bridge to unload, I ran over the bridge. I get to unload right at about the same time the boat's stopping. And the only people in the boat laughing and applauding and standing and giving her an ovation are Lawrence Taylor and O.J. Simpson. The girl in between them is passed out, and everyone else in the boat was really uncomfortable. So as soon as, they laid the gates to let everyone come off the boat, those walked up, tried to shake her hand and high-five her. Meanwhile, she's ripping her headset off and disconnecting herself from the kill switch and is jumping out of the boat and just wants to get away from them. They look at me, they shake my hand, they said, that's the best damn ride we've been on all day. That was awesome. What's her name? And I was like, gave her name. And they're, what's your name? And I gave her my name. And they're like, man, that was funny as hell, man. And they just dragged this blonde girl away. And everyone else is still standing there. They have not walked past them to get out the exit. They just kind of stood there to watch the rest of the train wreck. And as soon as they left, then everyone else left. And they're like, we felt so bad for her. My God, that must have been. I'm like, I don't understand what was so bad. But I gave a lot of those people another ride. So later on, after we've reopened and everything goes on, she never came back to work. She said, nope, never again. And she just left. She came back the next day, but she was done that night. So that night, a couple of us from Jaws, we went out to City Walk to, have our party. We all had to stay late and enjoy ourselves. So we went out there. We're going to stay for an hour and then go home. And as we're out there, we're standing. I can't remember the name of the restaurant, but we're getting hurricanes. There's one restaurant out there that gives really good hurricanes. You might remember the name of it before I do. There's half of those things have been flipped over to something else now.
Wasn't Margaritaville, was it?
No, Margaritaville wasn't there yet. It was it's next to, or it was near the what's his name? I want to say Lenny Kravitz, but not Lenny Kravitz. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's probably
Bob Marley. Bob Marley.
All right, yeah, Bob Marley.
It was by Bob Marley's and the Irish place. And we're staying out there, just talking bullshitting and just watching the train wreck of humanity going around. And I hear, Ryan, turn around thinking it's someone I know, and it's O.J. Simpson and Lawrence Taylor, and the blonde chick's not with them. And they're walking over us, and I'm like, "How did you recognize me?" And they're like, "Man, that was funny, man. Let me buy you guys drinks. Let's buy you all drinks." And of course, everyone that's around is looking at us like we know OJ and Lil T, and I have no idea. I just want to get out of there. It was uncomfortable because now he's like putting his hand on your back and smacking your hard, and he's drunk, and I was just like, okay. And of course, everyone's like, "How do you know those two?" I was like, "I don't, and I don't want to." So we just got the free drinks, said thanks, and all that.
Now, for a little bit of context on some of the younger viewers that I have here, in 1994, O.J. Simpson was, well, let's just say that he did some stuff. He was involved in a low-speed chase throughout the city of Los Angeles, California, in an aforementioned white Bronco. And, oh my God, anybody that was alive for that time, such memorable stuff. So, quick Google search showing the aftermath afterwards. Was O.J. Simpson was taken to Los Angeles County Jail and placed on suicide watch. Let's see, the Bronco was left in a parking lot for 17 years and put on display at the Alcatraz East Crime Museum in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. Needless to say, he did some stuff,
but he was never convicted.
Never convicted of it. If you've ever heard of the term, "If the glove don't fit, you must acquit," that is a trial that it came from. Now,
it was more of a trial in the public image than it was in court of law.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. So, with the OJ case, you definitely remember his name, but one of the attorneys that was on the case was Robert Kardashian. Does the last name ring a bell?
Bobby. There's a lot of money made from that.
Oh, yeah. Definitely a lot of money made from that.
I think Kim made more with the Ray J video, but that's different.
Well, God. Who's the little sister? Khloe?
Chewbacca Kardashian?
Khloe Kardashian?
Yeah, Chewie.
Let's see what this... All right. Was it Khloe Kardashian? There we go. Khloe Kardashian net worth. That's disgusting. That's disgusting. So, from her father making a ton of money off of the O.J. Simpson trial to her currently being worth, as of 2024, an estimated $60 million net worth.
16 or 60?
60.
Jesus Christ.
60.
They don't do it. They don't do anything.
Well, I mean, would you want to do anything if you're worth $60 million?
I mean, I guess no, but you'd have to do something productive to earn that kind of money. But apparently, I'm wrong.
Let's see what King.
It's got to be in 6 figures for sure. 7 figures, 8 figures.
Yeah,
9. Wow.
Yeah. So Kim, as of 2024, with everything that she's done, she is worth an estimated $1.7 billion with a B as of 2024. I mean,
I need to get an OnlyFans.
Oh, I've been saying that for years.
I mean, my feet aren't that ugly. Pretty
sure that there's other websites for that. But all I would do is just cook bacon with my shirt off.
Cook bacon on your shirtless self.
I don't know about cooking the bacon on me, but I would cook bacon with my shirt off and see what that generates.
You could do like those sushi places and have people eat the bacon off of you.
Dude, okay, so imagine, if you will, in a land far, far away, say Arkansas, there's a Waffle House that does that. And you have a gentleman that's participating in being the platter for everyone. His name's Robert. And yeah, just...
You've done this.
I'm just saying. Yeah, give him a little bit of emphasis and detail behind it. But imagine...
Okay, his name is Robert.
Robert.
Okay.
And Robert is just laying there. Nothing but waffles and breakfast food all over him. What do you think the price of admission would be on that?
I don't know. I'd say that it'd be at least $20. And then depending on the popularity, you could have celebrity stars that want to put a waffle as a little piece or something. You know, just like, hey, who wants to eat off, former Andy Griffith star Don Knotts? You know, who wants to do something like that? I'm sure he's no longer with us. We could pick a more current reference, but I'm just trying to think of stuff that would be odd.
Shane Gillis. I imagine
Shane would be down for that.
Absolutely.
If he's going to sit there and schlep Bud Light right now, he'd be down to be in a Waffle House having people eat stuff off.
Oh, 100%.
If nothing else, just to give him that little look he gives him, he's like, yeah, Down syndrome barely missed me.
Although, I got to say, that is one funny son of a bitch.
I like him. He gives a great Trump impression. That is one of the impressions I've seen.
Oh, yeah. Nah, he is friggin' hilarious. Between him and Bert Kreischer, like, those are people that I could relate with.
I mean, it was so hard when we lost, guys like George Carlin and yeah, I mean Robin Williams as well. But I mean, when you start losing all those guys that were so great, you start thinking, oh, great, now comedy's gonna suck. But there's a lot of good comedians out there still.
Oh
A
yeah,
lot of them live here in Austin, and it's not that far from here. But Austin's blowing up with a huge comedy scene ever since Rogan began,
hmm
and they've got all sorts of comedy clubs. I mean, that's where not well, Bert goes there a lot, but what's his restaurant? Why can I not think of names right now? They do that podcast, Two Boys One Cave.
two beers,
I
one
can't remember the
cave.
other guy's name.
So as far as that goes, a little bit of a Google search.
Tom Segura. There you go, Tom
Yeah,
Segura.
Tom Segura. Yeah, he's improved a lot over in recent years because like whenever they first started that podcast together, yeah, they weighed a combined 2.3 metric tons, and they look good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, considering that they're a bunch of middle-aged dudes with families and whatnot. And not saying that I'm jealous of the transformation that they've done over the years, but you know what? Good for them. Absolutely
Well, one
good
of
for
them's
them.
lost weight. The other one keeps losing weight and puts it back on. Also says he's going to quit drinking, and then 2 days later he's back on the wagon.
Yeah, I think
So
that might have
it
been
doesn't
Tom,
really matter.
not Bird.
Yeah, I'm pretty
Uh,
sure. Yeah. Well, Bert's the one that keeps putting it off and on. Tom's the one that lost the weight. Yeah.
well, one of his famous quotes is, "I will never stop drinking. I will always be just healthy enough to where I can keep drinking." Like
It's a
through
good goal to have.
he goes through an entire spiel on it, and he does such a great job at it. Along with possibly one of the more funnier things that he said, and I quote, maybe incorrectly. God, brain too good right now, but something on the lines of he's never going to stop drinking. He's always going to be healthy enough to continue drinking, and AA is for quitters, in a sense that I mean, which it is. Which, if that's the direction
That's
that
a
you want
true
to
statement.
go with, I mean, by all means, go ahead and go along with it. You got to improve yourself at the end of the day. But he stems it back to saying that it's not alcohol ruining your life; it's yourself ruining your own life. Alcohol is not the linchpin of it.
No, not by any stretch.
No, and just the logic behind it can, like, I would say is flawed, but I've yet to be able to poke holes in it. I'm usually pretty good at poking holes in like ridiculous logic like that.
I mean, if you use it as a crutch, then yes, you got to do it. If you just do it because you just got to relax at the end of the day, I get it.
hmm
And we've been on both sides of that, I'm sure.
Oh yeah,
Well, I know, but everything in enough moderation to make it to where you can still function.
oh yeah. Well, and ultimately that's what it boils down to. If it is any substance, whether it be alcohol, any illicit drugs or anything like that, if you make it to where it's your persona at the end of the day, that you can't function without it, then yeah, that could be an issue. But it's not alcohol's fault that you did ridiculous stuff like, I don't know, trying to fight a raccoon behind a dumpster outside of a Waffle House or something like that. Like that's not
Sounds like
that.
was that a personal story? Is there something you care to share?
No.
Not that it's not a personal story. I just don't care to share it.
Well, it also wasn't a Waffle House either. It may have been a Gator's Dockside.
It was classy.
Oh yeah, with chicken wings and whatnot.
Gator tail.
Never got any Gator at Gator's Dockside. So,
Really?
so once again, for my audience that's abroad outside of the state of Florida and whatnot, Gator's Dockside is a sports bar that was known for the longest time for having one of the better priced menus out there. In recent years, they've just gotten out of control. Yeah. And unfortunately, post 2020, their location that's closest to me did have to shut down because, and I quote from the manager at the time, they spent more on takeout containers than what they were making daily on food sales.
Goodness.
Yeah. Which means that there was a lot of food sales going on. But where are you
I
getting
wonder
your
if the one at
takeout
Hunter's
containers
Creek is still
from?
there.
What's that?
Yeah. I wonder if the one at Hunter's Creek is still there.
Oh, yeah, it's still there. Yeah, most of the locations are still there. Excuse me. But they're going through and popping up in newer spots. Like the one over by where I live closed down shortly after 2020. And they're going through and doing something in there now. I'm not sure what it is. Hopefully, they're redoing the whole Gator Dockside thing. Because all in all, that was a really good location at the time. Not sure how it would be
Maybe
now.
Maybe they're going to put a Chi-Chi's in there now that Chi-Chi's is going to make a comeback.
Chi-Chi's?
Yeah, that's been on the news this past week where the restaurant chain Chi-Chi's that closed down, I want to say in the 90s, that was, sold and bought by a couple other people, is going to be making a comeback in 2025.
Let's see about this. That is not what I was looking for. So,
Yeah, be careful when you Google Chi-Chi.
yeah. So, from what I'm able to see, is a menu back from like 1991.
Mm-hmm.
Who owns Chi-Chi's? There we go. You got a website. Good God.
It's a Mexican restaurant, brother.
I am at the wrong place then. Because,
Yeah.
so whatever I just pulled up was Chi-Chi's Pizza since 1958, and it's showing locations in California.
Yeah, this is Chi-Chi's Mexican restaurant. They used to have them in Altamont and all on 50 and a bunch of other places. There used to be one, if I remember correctly, off I Drive.
Oh, that's a flashback. All right, I think I pulled it up. I'll try to get a screenshot on it. Oh my God. Talk about pulling up memories from the past.
Yeah, that and Bennigan's.
I was more of a steak and ale kind of guy.
Steak and Ale's the same here. Ryan Steakhouse, that was another one that was always around back then.
So one thing that...
No affiliation.
Oh my God. Yeah, I'm going to try to get a screenshot of this. So, as far as like throwback restaurants from ye old times being over 20 years ago at this point, which is weird because that's still in the 2000s.
Yeah.
Like steak and ale was my jam. Don Pablo's was really good back then too.
You can still find those.
Not here in Florida, from what I've been able to like kind of look for anyways. Oh my God, yeah. Come on. Oh yeah. The internet's reading my mind because it's showing links to Chi-Chi's, Don Pablo's, Steak and Ale's, Cuckoo or Cuckoo-Roo.
Oh wow.
Burger Chef, Kenny Rogers Roaster.
Ooh.
God, tell me that you're old without saying that you're old.
I remember shopping the East Taco Bell menu in the 90s.
Yeah. Back when it was just the menu.
Yeah, and you could get, 5 soft tacos for about $6.
God, I remember back when a party pack, a total of 12 tacos ran for like $14. And that wasn't that long ago either.
No, it wasn't.
Now it's like $28 for 12 tacos before tax.
There's so many good taco places around here, Taco Cabana and a bunch of others around here that right next to Taco Bell, their food's way better.
Oh, yeah.
But every now and again, you just want a beefy 5-layer burrito.
Yeah, I'm kind of upset that they got rid of the grilled stuffed burrito. Grilled stuffed burrito, beef, extra beef, no bean, no guac. Oh my God. That was the meal of champions right there. Get one of those 2 soft tacos right before going fishing. That was good times.
I'm the weird guy that I know what I order from every restaurant, and I only order that thing. I never deviate from what I get, no matter what the menu is, once I find something I like. So I'll always go certain places because that's what I feel like having is just one item from their menu. And whenever time I try to switch it up and get something different from there, it always disappoints me. I always kick myself for not sticking with the tried.
Now, and I get that. Because like there's a handful of places that'll go adventurous as far as, let's go ahead and go to this restaurant. I want to try something new here. Yard House is pretty good about that as far as like big chain restaurants go. But going back to the ethos of this channel, reviewing small mom and pop restaurants, once I find something at a mom and pop place, I stick with it. I'll try my best to go through the menu, but as soon as I find that one thing, I'm sticking to it.
So in your adventures and this young podcast adventure that you have, of all the places that you've been to so far, do you have a favorite one that you've been at thus far?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. So as far as my personal favorite restaurant in the state of Florida is concerned, is a restaurant over in Brooksville, Florida, which is about an hour and a half outside of Orlando, called the Florida Cracker. Florida Cracker is such an amazing place so for a little bit of context of what I do for a living, I am a rideshare driver in the greater Orlando area, most of the time in the state of Florida, because you got to go where the riders want to go. And whenever I have people ask me, where do you like to go to? What's your favorite place? I always tell them Florida Cracker is my favorite place, but as far as somewhere locally that you want to go to, that's a hard one to say because there's so many chain restaurants in Orlando, and there's been a resurgence, I guess would be the right word, of some small mom and pop operated businesses. Like one of my favorite places in the greater Orlando area is called New York Beer Project. And, like, that's a great place. Food's amazing. Beer's fantastic. They have a full bar there. It's a fun place to go to. But as far as, like, places I'm willing to stop by an ATM and get cash out, because Florida Cracker is a cash-only establishment for the restaurant. But right next door to it is a bourbon and whiskey bar. That's a really good selection of whiskeys and different bourbons and whatnot.
I like it already.
Oh, yeah. Dude, it's an awesome place. There's a carport that separates the two of them. Like, they're connecting, but not really connecting. Most Florida shit ever. And one of the reviews that we've done on the channel takes place there. And it's such an odd amalgamation of just things that they have there. They have the country kitchen, which is cash only. The whiskey bourbon bar, amazing place. Next door to that is a merchandise shop, which they got some legit merchandise there. Excuse me. T-shirts, Yeti items. They also have their own branded Jack Daniels and Jim Beam whiskeys there as well too. Awesome place to check out. And then next door to that, a real estate shop. I mean, because why not?
You get hammered and go buy a plot of land?
Yeah, after getting breakfast? Shit. But now, as far as places in Florida that I've been to so far, nothing's going to top a Florida Cracker. Subject to change once we start venturing outside of the comfort zone.
Have you been to, not to cut you off, but have you gone to, not on the show, but just in general, to Cecil's Barbecue?
In downtown Orlando?
Yeah, just outside downtown.
Well, I've had an Uber Eats order from there years and years ago, and that is good. Like, really good.
It is really good.
It's one of the few places I'll eat the baked beans at, because I'm not a huge fan of baked beans, but the amount of brisket and bacon that they put in their baked beans, oh my God, so good.
That is the closest place I can think of that has barbecue like I can find here. And I love going to Cecil's. You pay for it, but you are full, and there's nothing bad there.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, so when it comes to barbecue joints, outside of the big chain ones, in Florida we have Sonny's, which is barbecue by technicality.
Yeah. It's kind of the McDonald's of barbecue.
It really is. Surprisingly enough, they started up in Gainesville.
Yeah, they're not bad. I remember when I was a kid, my dad would take us there on Sunday mornings when they had breakfast. And their French toast was huge and thick. They made it off Texas toast. I loved going there as a kid. But they also, that was back when they just had rows of like outdoor benches for you to sit on. And that's what what their interior was.
Well, they didn't want you to sit in the smoke for too long. But, like, Cecil's is really good. There's a place up in Umatilla, Florida. I don't even know if they're still open at this point. Called the Damn Smoker. I don't even think they have a social media page, because the gentleman that runs the place was a artillery gunner on a naval vessel back in World War II. Deaf as a bat. Oh my! Like, you had to scream at the guy to get your order over to him. I mean, when you're shooting 108 millimeter guns during D-Day, that's going to take an effect on your hearing overall.
Yeah, someone's trying to get on the podcast, but I keep just scratching so he doesn't put his face up there anymore.
Wait, you got puppers?
He's over here. There he is.
Hey, buddy. You're so cute. You're so cute. That is probably the best guest that we've had so far.
Yeah. He's definitely adorable and full of personality.
Oh, yeah.
He's a cuddler.
So there is a Damn Smoker, but this is over in Eustis, Florida. Wonder if it's the same one, because based off of... Nah, it looks like it got rebranded. Yep, the Damn Smoker permanently closed. God, what a bummer. Probably one of the victims of COVID.
One of the ones I used to frequent that was not far from Cecil's. It was down the road from one of the jobs I used to have. It used to be called the Gnarly Barley.
Oh, the Gnarly Barley. Holy shit. I haven't heard that one in a long time.
Yeah, I think that closed down 2010, maybe? Yeah, maybe a little bit later than that. 2012. But I like going there.
So, it's funny that you bring that up, because there has been, they have opened back up. I believe under new management. And I'll try to go through and send the link in the description below. But yeah, they're open currently. Let's see what the hours are. 11 to 9, Monday through... So, open 11 to 9, Sunday, close Mondays, which, I mean, to be expected. That seems to be the norm after COVID. Tuesday, Wednesday, 11 to 10, and then Thursday through Saturday, 11 to 11. God, those are long shifts.
It's not a huge place, but the atmosphere in there is, I guess, rustic would be the best way to put it.
Hmm.
And they have all sorts of beers on tap. And I mean, it's not for liquor. They had wine and beer last I remember. But they have good food there too. Not really bar food, but it was good for what it was, and it's a nice place to just go hang out.
Oh, yeah. Which, I mean, not every excursion out to a restaurant needs to be a full-on affair. Sometimes you just need to hang out with a couple of people before going to the next thing.
It was a good place to pregame before going and hanging out downtown back in the day when you used to go downtown.
Yeah, when it wasn't just ridden with homeless people and whatnot, which, I mean, I get it. They got to live somewhere. But it's gotten bad in recent years.
Has it? I didn't realize they changed the name of the Amway Center to the Kia Center.
You know what? Everybody in the greater Orlando area didn't realize it until they put a banner, like a whole ass banner over the Amway Center sign that said Kia Center.
I used to still call the Amway Center the Arena back before they started, having sponsorship.
Oh.
Who uses Amway? No one uses Amway anymore.
Let's see. What?
I can kind of see Kias. Amway used to be that door-to-door sales. Amway calling.
Yeah. Door-to-door sales. Like, I remember the TD Waterhouse.
I remember the TD Waterhouse.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. So the one and only Orlando Magic game that I ever seen was back during Shaquille O'Neal's rookie year.
Oh.
Yeah. Rookie year, they were playing against the Milwaukee Bucks, and something about everyone getting free tacos afterwards because they got over 100 points. I never got that free taco either. I still, of all things I regret in life, that's probably the biggest regret that I got.
I remember they used to do one. I want to say it was 100 or 110 points. But if you got 110, you could order a free pizza from Papa John's or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
and you got a huge discount on your pizza from Papa John's. And every time they hit it, everyone starts celebrating. But that's when they could score. Then they hit that lull of mediocrity for like the last 8 or 9 years. But this year they look to be doing pretty good.
Yeah, honestly.
I catch a few games here and there.
Honestly, as a fourth-generation native to Orlando, I'm still surprised that we have a hockey team. And apparently they done really good.
Well, we had the Solar Bears, and then they went away, and then they get brought back. I remember the one thing I really miss is the Orlando Predators, the Arena Football
League.
God, that was amazing. I love going to those games.
They made a resurgence not that long ago, but I think they went back out again.
Yeah, they started playing over by UCF, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, Orlando Predators. Let's see where they play at. No, it looks like that next season's going to be at the Kia Center.
Oh, good. They're going to bring it back to where it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. Well, where it should have been to begin with.
Yeah.
But now, there's so many changes that have been going on in Orlando in recent years that it's hard for me to keep up with it. And I live like 15 minutes away from downtown Orlando.
Downtown Orlando changed so much. Just to the time that, I spent most of my life there. But I remember when they used to have Terror on Church Street. And, Church Street itself still had Rosie O'Grady's and all that stuff. The original things that were there, I wish they would have kept it. They bought them up and started doing other stuff with them, but they should have kept Rosie O'Grady's.
Now, with my generation of going to Church Street, it was Mako's. You would go down to Church Street on Wednesdays because it was known as Wasted Wednesdays. You would start off at Latitudes, then Chillers, then end up
Latitudes,
Chillers, and then
Beer Belly Brewery,
and then you would end the night over at Mako's because you would hit the happy hours at the right time. Dude, that was a great time, both financially and in my life.
Before you go to Mako's, did you or did you not do what I did? And as you went up Church Street to Orange Avenue, you turn left and go to that little pizzeria there that had that little stairwell to go eat in the little loft areas up top where the guys are spinning the pizzas in the window. You spend $5.50, get 2 slices and a Coke.
Oh yeah,
just to try to soak up the alcohol before you went to Mako's and thought you had a shot with any of the bartenders. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh, those were the days.
Don't look done.
Those were the days.
God. And then just end up at Wall Street Cantina depressed.
Trying to figure out, where the hell am I? Why am I broke? Let's get another round.
Yeah, walk the SunTrust parking lot to your car and realize you didn't park there after an hour.
Only to realize that you parked somewhere off of Washington, which is like 8 blocks away. Oh, yeah. So the last time I went down to downtown Orlando, I met up with a couple of friends, and by meeting up, they told me that they were too drunk to drive, and being the good friend I am, I went down there to try to pick them up.
Mm,
Have you ever seen a room full of rocking chairs with a cat in it?
yes.
Yeah, it was like that down there that night. And here I am. I don't know how I found a parking spot, but I found a parking spot. It was like 1:30 in the morning. And here's my ass just walking around downtown Orlando. They told me a place like 45 minutes before, which, if you've ever been in the downtown Orlando space, 45 minutes is an eternity at one place. And here I am trying to find them. We wind up over at Wall Street Cantina. We're doing shots of moonshine, which, if you got to pay taxes on it, it's not moonshine. And I lose my car. I walked the absolute entirety of downtown Orlando trying to find out where my car was. 2 hours later, it's like almost 4 o'clock in the morning at this point, I finally find my car just to realize that I lost my friends that I was trying to pick up from down there. I had food in my car and everything. God. Fresh hot food. I've been working all day. Gonna go, rescue my friends before I call it a night. Yeah, being a good friend and whatnot. Finally, about, 5 o'clock in the morning, finally found them. We get back to my car. They're still hammered shit-faced. Like, bad hammered shit-faced. And that's when I found out that Checkers or Rallies, depending on where you're at, is open stupid late on Saturdays. I mean, stupid late on Saturdays. And we're stuck in the drive-thru for something like 30 minutes trying to get food and whatnot. No, it was an absolute shit show. I never want to go back to downtown Orlando again, sober.
What if someone drove you?
And so that would be a rough one because I'm always the one to drive.
Yeah, I understand that, but it would be a treat. You get to see the other side of the car for a thing.
I don't know.
Like I'm the same way. I don't like being a passenger. If I'm going someplace, I'd rather be driving.
Oh, yeah.
At the same point, I hate driving in downtown.
Which is why I try to avoid it like the plague. But yeah, those were the days. Those were definitely the days.
I don't know. There used to be clubs there, and I'm not a club guy, but I remember going to a few, like Cairo back in the day.
Yeah, I remember Cairo.
And there's a few others down there. We used to go to Ibar a lot. I don't know if Ibar's still there.
Ibar's still there.
But it's a, for the uninitiated, it's kind of a goth bar. Like if you go in there, it looks like a vampire nightclub. But I never went there because that was my scene. There's a lot of friends of mine that are into that type of thing, and they go there wearing all leather and white out contact lenses and just kind of go there.
Mm-hmm.
And I just went there to people watch, A, and B, we knew the owner and the owner slash bartender from one of my previous jobs. And so he'd always just let us go in. We didn't pay cover. We'd sit at the bar, drink for next to nothing. And I would just people watch. And I can't tell you the amount of gothopotamuses I saw wearing just lacy black dresses that are 5 times too small for the weight they carried. But one of the funniest things I ever saw in a bar happened at that bar. And to this day, I don't know if I should even say the story because she's a sweet girl and she's always been a friend of mine, so I don't want to put it out there like that. But I saw someone who was much, much shorter than the girl I'm talking about. She's a friend of a friend. She's an Iowa corn-fed girl. She's not big, but she was tall.
Mm-hmm.
And she liked wearing those corsets that would push things up in areas to make them on display, but always make you look like, hey, my eyes are up here. Mm-hmm. And nice girl, like I said, always been friends. And there's this very, very short guy. We would sit at the end of the bar in the corner near where the employees would go in and out, because that's where I would talk to the owner and a few other people, and I could turn and see the small dance floor and just watch people flipping around.
Oh, yeah, just straight mosh.
Yeah. And, well, she was in the corner this time. I was talking to one of my other friends, and he must have been 5'4", a little bearded kid, kind of didn't look like he belonged, like he was there with friends, but they kind of shunned him, so he's kind of like wandering around just looking, and just was fixated on this girl's look, for lack of a better description, and just kept her eyes here, he's just like literally inches away from her, and she kept turning around, and he would like bump into her, and she's like, can I help you? And she's like, can I buy, like he couldn't get the words out that he wanted to buy her a drink. She goes, buy me a drink? He's like, yeah. So she ordered 2 shots, and they set them at the end of the table. She picks them both up, hands him one, slams hers, sets it down, takes his from him, stood up. Keep in mind, there's a height disadvantage for him, or in this case, an advantage, and just walked him straight into the wall where there's like little one seat on each side, a small table, but there's like a divider. So each little area is somewhat private, and walked him with his face here into the wall. Said, "Do you see anything you like?" Now this is told to me after because I couldn't hear the conversation. I was watching it from 25 feet away, and she said he just nodded, and she took his drink, held it in one hand, put her hand on his shoulders, and then grabbed him by the throat, slid him up the wall, looked him in the eyes, drank his shot in front of him, set it down, and then let him go. And he just said to her, again, I'm hearing this after the fact, "Can you go back to my place?"
He found out some things about himself that he didn't know prior to going in.
The rest of that story I will not say on air because she told me what happened afterwards, and it involved apparatuses and someone running out of her apartment without half of his clothes because he got scared. So we're gonna let the rest of that be shared by the person who it happened to.
Right.
Which I don't think she wants that anymore.
Good for him. Good for him.
But unless you've ever seen a 6'1" corn-fed girl pick a guy by his throat up a wall and just slowly, mind you, drink his shot, that was impressive. Never even struggled with it. The kid didn't kick or flail. He was locked in. Locked in.
Like asphyxiated with it.
I mean, if you're going to go, I'm just saying.
There are worse ways to go.
I don't want to die at Ibar.
Which, after a quick search, unfortunately, it is closed.
Dude, it was a great place to people watch, just to be a fly in the wall and just kind of see that other side. You know, if you're not goth or you're not dark and twisted or however they view themselves, just to kind of go there in blue jeans and a sweatshirt and just be like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Like, it was interesting.
Yeah, where did I teleport to?
The owner was not goth, but he just catered to that crowd. And he's like, I've seen some weird shit in here. I'm like, you own this place. He's like, yeah, they spend money every night. Like, they had regulars that would go in there every single night.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously not very well employed, but like to spend their disposable income on just flailing around with glow sticks.
I mean, if that's something that you're into, then so be it.
Interesting times that will never again be revisited.
Yeah. At least in the way that we know it.
True. I can only imagine what a Gen Z goth club would look like.
God. That would...
Everyone's offended.
I'm just trying to think the amount of phone booths that they would need for safe spaces.
Oh my God. How many bathrooms would you need?
Just one.
Just make them find it out.
Yeah.
Figure it out. I'm not labeling all these. There's one.
Well, so what I would do, and like a sick, twisted sense of humor, treat the bathrooms like the DMV, where you have to make an appointment, you get a number, and then once your number's called, that's when you go. But you have A through Z to work with, 1 through 2,000. And then you just got to pay attention to that number.
See, I would be a little bit more twisted and just see if anyone got the reference. But I just put one bathroom in there and use the 3 seashells and see if anyone figures it out.
So between social media and like modern retro movie references, you'd probably be surprised how many people would get the 3 she-shells, but have no idea what it means. Like, they've seen it before, like, this means something, and then have no idea what to do with it.
Yeah, pull your audience and see how many people have seen it.
Right. Yeah, I'm waiting for a bar to open up that's catered to, like, the 90s. Who's your bumpers? Oh.
He's just noticing that Dad's not paying a lot of attention to him at the moment.
Oh, best guest ever.
There you go.
Oh.
Get your FaceTime.
He's a good boy.
You know he can't hear you.
I don't care. Oh, big yawn. But yeah, I'm waiting for a 90s or early 2000s themed club to pop off. All it is just like lazy boys, and everyone's sitting down because their knees and back hurt. They're waiting for their shot of ibuprofen to come by them. Like, that's a club that I want to be partaking in. Instead of talking about all the pot they smoke, they're talking about all the CBD gummies they can order online and have shipped directly to their house. Well, it's not even CBD gummies, just all the pot gummies that are out there. And everyone's just doing shots of ibuprofen and weed gummies, and they're just absolutely blasted while drinking like Busch Light from a can, because that's fancy. Drinking Busch Light from a can, and just sitting there watching like old school fatback big screens, back when big screens were like big.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and still square.
Yeah, and still square. Not the 16:9 ratio that they have now, but the volume's up a little too loud for what's going on. Only during the commercials.
Yeah, they always do that.
Yeah,
It drives me crazy.
Yeah, just have like Price is Right playing in the background, Wheel of Fortune, stuff like that. That would be an awesome. That would be an awesome bar.
Oh, he's just punting me. You know, he's just like, hey man,
throwing hands.
He is. It's okay. He just realized that its dog treat I gave him before we started this must have been already eaten.
Someone ate it.
Figured I could. Oh yeah, I figured I could kind of keep him quiet for a while. He's being a real good boy. He just wants to sit there and just have me scratch his back. So I'm double tasking right now.
Multitasking at its finest.
Oh yeah. I mean, if I got to do something, might as well just sit there and rub my boy's belly.
So I had a rider the other day that was bringing his dog over to the vet, and that was the most well-behaved dog I've ever came across, with a fancy name of DOG.
I have a friend of mine in high school named his dog that. That's funny.
I
love it.
Just the most well-behaved puppers I've ever came across.
What kind of dog?
Yes. Yeah, just a mutt. Yeah, just a mutt. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. Just a sprinkling of enough cuteness to make it lovable. Oh, it was the most amazing dog ever. Which me personally, I thoroughly enjoy having dogs in my car whenever I drive people around. Because, like, you have service animals nowadays. You have everyone that's trying to make anything a service animal. Still waiting on someone to make a service animal out of an alligator.
Emotional pet gator.
Yeah, and I'm still waiting on that to happen. Because if that happens, I'm probably going to stop doing the whole rideshare thing altogether. Because you can't beat that.
I've seen iguanas on leashes, but I don't know how well you're going to do with a gator. You know, you have to ask on that, Terry. We got to get Gator Terry in on that one.
Oh God, I got to have him on here.
Gator Terry.
I got to have him on here.
You still have it? If you don't have his number, I'll give it to you. But that'll be a funny ass interview. The mayor of the self-proclaimed mayor of Winter Garden.
He would be a good one to do the whole RNG roulette with.
Oh my God, yes. In fact, I'd like to make a formal request that if you do one with Terry, bring me in on that.
Got to have Wayne in on it too.
Oh my God, if you got Wayne Johnson, Terry Gatorman, Winter Garden, you and myself. There'll be so many inside references, we'd have to spend a lot of time explaining it, but it would be funny regardless.
Oh, yeah. Well, just having Terry on board on the podcast, which Terry's a gentleman that worked at the same gun store that we worked at, different times, though. He wasn't there when I was there. He was there before I was. And,
he would bring in gators that he captured in the morning and keep them in the shop with tape around their mouth and whatnot. And I don't know how many pictures I have of gators as mascots temporarily until they were set someplace to be repopulated or turned into purses.
Disposed of. Which,
oh my God.
To give a little bit of background on that, in the state of Florida, you can be an alligator trapper provided with a correct licensing and whatnot. And if you live in Florida and you have an alligator show up on your property, there is no charge to you as the person that calls. The payment towards the gator trapper is the alligator itself. And it's up to them to either donate the alligator to a wildlife sanctuary or be processed. Because in the state of Florida, once an alligator is caught, it cannot go back out in the wild. Just because it's so accustomed to people at that point that if it gets around human populace, that's it for the alligator.
In fact, Terry was the gator trapper present when that young boy was taken at the Disney resort. Mm-hmm. And he was the one that was there when they found the boy. But they called all sorts of people out there to take gators, and the ones they took weren't the one that did it. But he was there when they found the child. Mm-hmm. And he told me that story. That was pretty messed up.
Yeah.
He was bothered over that one.
I mean, reasonably
but he had so many other stories. He's, unfortunately for Terry, and I love the guy to death, he got internet famous for a gator smacking him in the head with his tail and rendering him unconscious. And the video of that went viral. It's on YouTube. I'm not going to sit there and try to give a further description on it, but it ain't hard to find, and poor guy broke his Oakley. So, and he still blamed the female police officer for not holding it down while he put it in the truck. And as soon as he went in the truck, she just let go, and he just got thumped in the head and was out cold.
Thumped would be an understatement. He straight up got tail slapped.
I mean, yeah, Gator got revenge.
Gator don't play that shit.
There's bitches better be with their jimmies. Yeah.
Oh my god. Do you know who posted that video? Because
No, but it's been reposted I don't know how many times. I mean, I've heard about it, and then I saw him, and then I was shown the video by every employee before I was like, oh wow. Well, if you're going to be famous, it's not the best way to do it, but you're out there, and people know who you are now. And he took it on the chin, man. He took it like a champ.
Well, he didn't take it on the chin. He got it across the entire face.
Yeah, he did.
Hard.
There's no doubt. But my point is, he's tough. He took it. He kept doing it. He didn't let that Gator win. At the end of the day, he's Boots and Terry's still working. So It worked. I would have made it my sole purpose that thing knocked me out. I'd be wearing his boots forever.
Oh, I would try to make a pair of socks out of it or something.
Gator skin sock?
There's worse things out there.
Well, there must be. At least make a holster out of it.
Definitely. Belt. Suspenders. I don't believe I've ever seen alligator suspenders before.
I don't think the Gator was big enough to do all that, but it was big enough at least for a pair of boots and a holster.
Oh, God, that was hilarious. Poor guy.
God. But yeah, the amount of gators he'd bring in. He had a 13.5-foot gator folded up in the back of a 6-foot pickup truck bed that I took pictures of because I couldn't believe it. But yeah, I mean, that one didn't go in the shop. The ones we got in the shop were like the 3 to 4 foot variety.
The more manageable sizes. So the other day I picked up a couple of riders. They were from like Nebraska and Ohio, and they were asking me about alligators and whatnot. And yeah, beat around in the wildlife areas of Florida, like Wekiva River, Rock Springs, just all the different springs and river systems and lakes and whatnot. You come across alligators, and they're no different than stray dogs, in my opinion. Provided that you don't mess with them, they won't mess with you. It's as simple as that. And these guys were losing their collective shit over how nonchalant I was about it. Because, I mean, like I said, I'm not going to go in there and try to mess with the gators, but if one comes up, I'm not going to panic either. Caveat, depending on the size. And these guys were wanting to give me something like $200 each just to dip my feet in a retention pond by the hotel that they were staying at. I almost did it. Because it was like 55 degrees outside at that point. No gator's going to be going around in that temperature.
Fine. Yeah. You'd have been fine.
That would have been an easy $400.
The gator could have been sitting right there and said, nah. What's funny about living in Florida for as long as I did and then moving back to Texas, there's a state park 10 minutes up the road that I'll go hiking in, and I'll take the dog with me and whatnot. I think also some little lakes, and you can get kayaks and all, whatever. You can do everything there you do in any other state park nationwide. But in one of the lakes there last year, there was 2 gators, like a 4.5 and a 5 or 6 foot gator there. And because they were discovered, they shut the swimming part of the lake down.
Really?
Yeah. I'm like, in Florida, you just swim with the gators.
Yeah.
Like, buyer beware. If you go in the water, you know what's up. But because they saw 2 gators, it was down for 3 or 4 weeks, if I remember correctly.
Wow.
And I went there, they're like, no, we can't let anyone swim. There are some gators there. Do that in the state of Florida, you can't do anything. You can go to the ocean, but they're not going to shut it down because there's sharks.
Well,
there.
I mean, even then, over here in Florida, you have saltwater crocodiles. That's a thing.
I did not know that when I moved back to Texas. When I was a kid, never saw them. When I moved back as an adult, tarantulas. They have tarantula mating season in the state of Texas.
I was about to say, in Florida, shit, I'm moving out, gone.
No, and here, I was outside the house I was renting when I first moved here, and I was sitting on the porch, and all of a sudden we saw one of the neighbor's dogs, like out in the tree line there where the bunch of brush was before there's a fence with a bunch of cattle on the other side. And it was sniffing around something and swatting at something, and all of a sudden it just backed up, and I saw what I thought from 80 feet away was a rat or a mouse just running away and the dog chasing it. And then the rat stopped and stood on its back 4 legs. And I was like, whoa, that's not a rat. I didn't have my glasses on. And the dog's just sitting there sniffing at it and then got tagged on the nose and then went beep, 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 and took off running. And this thing's still there. So as I get closer, I'm like, that's a fucking tarantula. Holy shit. And it was, I mean, legs and everything about that big. It's called a Texas brown, and it was just reared up, 4 legs down, 4 legs up, fangs out. And I was like, well, I didn't think that was a thing. I knew scorpions and all that other shit. I was thinking black widows, brown recluses. Nope, we got tarantulas. So I got a Home Depot bucket, scooped that thing in there, and just watched it for a little bit. And a neighbor came and sprayed it down with Raid, and then took it out and stepped on it. I was like, well, I was just gonna let it go, but whatever, that's fine. But yeah, and there's like a dozen different species of tarantula live here. I figured maybe West Texas, where there's, it's more deserty,
Mm-hmm.
but no, right here,
East.
like 4 miles away.
That's wild.
Yeah, I'm thinking I got to worry about, Western diamondback rattlesnakes and copperheads. No, tarantulas too. And on the news, they talk about it. It's tarantula mating season, so you may see these little guys around like it's not a big deal. And ultimately, it's not a big deal if you own a flamethrower. Get a flamethrower. I wanted to get a flamethrower, and I was told no. And now I'm single, and I'm going to get a flamethrower.
Well, I mean, at that point, it's just out of safety of your dwelling.
I mean, we're lying if we say that.
Well, I mean, not really. I mean, it could be used for other things, like starting up bonfires and preventing people...
Clearing property,
Yeah.
Clearing brush.
Weeds, people sometimes. But, yeah, I mean, that is what it is.
I mean, ultimately, it's the zombie apocalypse scenario you're trying to prepare for. That COVID-2, I'm hoping there's a zombie variant, because I was so close to hoping when they're like, we're locking everything down, everyone's quarantined. I'm like, quarantine? I've seen that movie. Let's go. I'm getting all my guns ready.
Yeah, they're coming out with a 20... Speaking about, like, viral outbreaks.
28 years later.
Yeah, 28 years later.
I want to see it. I've been there for both of them. Different, fast zombies. I get it, but hey, let's go. Let's go. I thought they're really zombies. They didn't eat anything. Did they? No, I guess they did.
Well,
I always thought they were infected with a variant of rabies.
So that brings up a good point of contention. The difference between a zombie movie and an infected movie.
Well, World War Z, in the books, based on, on the book, everything was slow, but the movie, they made them fast. If you're an infected person, you get infected, not zombies.
Mhm.
But yes, I get it. But to me, zombies have died, reanimated, and they shamble. When you go to the fast zombies, that's not the traditional zombie.
No.
I'm a purist.
I like the authenticity behind it.
And the snobbish way I said, I'm a purist. Yes, I understand. I felt that as soon as I said, I'm like, God, that was a douchey thing to do. But when it comes to zombies, I'm old school. I like my zombies slow and shambling. They're dangerous in groups. You can clock them in the head by themselves. The fast ones, man, in 28 days and weeks later, and then now 28 years later, you could drop them by shooting them in the chest.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not a zombie. If you can just hurt them the same way you can hurt a person, not a zombie. Zombies, you got to remove the head or damage the brain. That's a zombie.
Yeah, dumb shots. Headshots are free at the end of the day.
I don't know why I felt like standing on a soapbox talking about zombies, but hey, whatever.
Hey, it's the podcast.
You got to make your priorities.
It's the podcast. Gotta let it go.
Mm.
Yeah. So I do enjoy this format a little bit better than going to the restaurants and filming. One thing that I would like to do for the 2025 year is to have more interviews like this. People that I know, people that Strickland know, which after I finish up with this interview, I'm going to be doing another one with Strickland and a mutual friend of ours, where we're going to be trying out the RNG roulette, which, for those that are interested, RNG roulette is going to be something interactive that you can do along with a channel, provided that you have the ability and time to do so.
And the alcohol tolerance.
It's not too bad. The rules I made up, anyone can join in. If you want to partake in alcoholic beverages, you're more than welcome to. If you want to spike it up to hard liquor, you can also do that too, but anyone's able to join along with it. So, with what I have presented here, RNG roulette. So, prior to recording, for anyone that's going to be partaking in the podcast itself, each person must start with 6 12-ounce cans of beverage, for your discretion.
Mine's 16. Does that still count?
Yeah. I mean, you got to account for evaporation and whatnot. Could be hot.
Obviously.
Yeah.
It could be.
Yeah.
It could be.
Each player must contribute 6 topics of discussion and list them 1 through 6 prior to the game. So, what that allows us to do, that allows each person to contribute to the RNG roulette. With that being said, the sum of all topics will be added up to a grand total of 12 topics per game. So, the more people that are involved with it, the more topics that get thrown in there, the more wild cards get thrown out per person.
Mm.
Side beverages are allowed, but do not count towards the total 6 beverages of the game. So, in a case like this, where you have a whiskey on the side, you have a beer that goes along with it, maybe you want to do whiskey and cokes for the game and have another whiskey on the side, or have a beer on the side, whiskeys. It's all dependent on what the players want to go through and do.
And to clarify, that is whiskey and Coca-Cola. Now, if you're doing liquor and cocaine, you're a much harder person than I am.
Well, it kind of defeats the purpose between the two. It's like 2 negatives making a positive at that point.
Look, I don't want to miss a topic and have to do a line, all right? I'm not doing that.
God, that would be rough. So,
that person would talk for hours.
About starting a business. So, you've been there before.
I have not. What? No, I've never done that.
Not like that. But you have been around people that have been like that before.
Yeah. Yes, I've been, at work all the time. But in personal life, 2 or 3. Yeah. And all of them, I'm going to list that number up. Probably about 6 or 7. 3 were roofers, and the other 3 we'll just call them dancers.
Performance art.
I don't know art, but I definitely know what I like. And yes.
So, that's prior to the game. Now, during the recording, host of the recording starts RNG roulette with player introduction. So, introduce all the people that are part of it. Host will also activate the RNG game by going through and doing the RNG. So RNG is a random number generator, and out of those 12 topics, just randomly picks up which one is. Now, when said topic gets picked out of the random number generator, must be a minimum of 3 minutes of discussing that topic up to 10 minutes. Because when you have that many people with different opinions on that particular subject, whatever the hell it may be, 3 minutes should be a good minimum behind it, but anything over 10, oh my god, that would just be a casserole of nonsense. Then it would drag it out a little bit longer than what I would think would be deemed listenable, unless you're in a 3-hour-long podcast at that point. Now, let's see. We'll repeat 1 through 3 till all 12 topics have been discussed. All right, so here's a caveat with the game. Go ahead.
I didn't say anything.
All right. So, caveat with it, if a topic comes up that a player does not want to talk about, they are allowed to skip only if they chug the full beverage. So, say that a topic were to come up that a person doesn't want to talk about. Politics being a good one. There's people that will talk politics. There's some people that just clamor up to it. And the only way to get out of that particular subject is to slam down the drink that they have and sit there and quiet. Because,
quick question.
What's up?
If you choose to not talk on a topic and slam your beer, does that take away from one of your 6 topics?
No, that would go towards the side beverage.
Oh, so you really need at least a case of beer.
Depends on your drinking habits.
It depends on how many people you have.
Yeah, this is where it gets wild.
Okay, so there's going to be a lot of potty breaks.
So with that, getting a little ahead of ourselves here, but restroom breaks are allowed. Because thank God with editing, we're able to go through and make it a little bit more cohesive than everybody sit still, look at a screen until someone gets back. So, with that, breaks can be done at any given point throughout it just to keep the continuity going and make it within reasonable listening time. But once all beverages and topics have been discussed, then the game is finished. So,
now, I think it would be important to post this on the Intoxication Station's website.
Yeah. So
that someone can go back through them and familiarize themselves with the rules of this game so they can play along at home.
Oh, yeah. Now, as far as the preliminary rules that I have set up now are going to be more geared towards the people that are participating in the podcast. I will have a separate set of rules for anyone that wants to partake along with the recording and still feel like a contributing member at the end of the recording.
It's very similar. Well, not to say it's very similar, but it's similar to the idea that I have of the drinking game I created to the movie Clue. if you're familiar with that movie, you just pick a character through the movie, much like you do in the game. And there's certain things that each character does that you have to take a drink. If there's certain things that are said, you have to take a drink. There's community drinks that everyone takes a drink.
Mhm.
You're pretty good and messed up about 40 minutes into the movie, and then everything else is evened out by then. But I have to go back and I actually wrote those rules out. I have to go back through all my notes and find them. But that's a fun one to do.
So speaking of drinking games in movies, the one that is very dangerous, yeah, I mean, very dangerous to do, is Wolves of Wall Street. Now,
I've never seen that.
it's worth checking out if anything. So there's been many people that have went through and wrote different rules to the game, but all you need for the entire movie is you take a drink every time someone mentions Quaaludes.
That's a lot.
Yeah, so just based off of that one particular rule, you would need at least 2 12-packs per person. It gets mentioned a lot, yeah.
It's like taking a shot every time they show Matthew McConaughey at a Texas Longhorns game.
How many bottles does that inquire?
Depends what you're into, sir. I mean, when you watch a Texas Longhorns game, you've got to be drinking whiskey. It's McConaughey.
Oh, yeah. All right.
These are the impetus between me going out and actually getting a legit cowboy hat. That and Indiana Jones.
So, isn't Indiana Jones's hat more of a fedora than a cowboy hat?
It is a fedora. Now, the hat that I used during the summers when I had to work outside at work at a highway gate during visitation, that's a straw one. That's now adorning my Christmas tree as a topper because it's Texas. And I recently purchased a brown actual hat, fedora-esque, if I may say. But instead of having the band around it, it's just like a leather strap. Still a dark brown because I've always been looking for a dark brown hat that fit the way I like. Found one finally about a week ago, and not McConaughey's because he's got like a lot of little frills and stuff on the side. Mine's very basic and plain, but you know what? I put that on, put my brown bomber jacket on because it's finally in the 40s out here, and I'm not saying I feel like cracking a whip on anything, but definitely kind of gives me a little bit more swagger to me.
Nice. Yeah, I got such a melon head that it's so hard for me to find a hat.
Yeah, I have a small head and no hair, so it actually helps keep my head warm.
Yeah.
And it also helps instead of wearing a beanie everywhere again.
Right. No, I've been trying to find a cowboy hat for, years at this point. I can't find one. Unless I go through and have one specially made for my noggin, which I'm a 7 7/8. To put that in perspective.
Sir, come out here anytime.
Well,
and I will help you find one.
Well,
they have festivals around here where they'll make you a hat as you're there. Like they'll steam it, cut it, fold it, mold it, and they'll just give it to you. But there's also Cavenders and boot barns everywhere in the state of Texas.
Oh, I'm sure they're like Buc-ee's over there. Which, oddly enough, I'm surprised Buc-ee's doesn't have an area where you can get your own cowboy hat.
No, because, well, they would if they had Buc-ee on it. But then again, you haven't been to a Buc-ee's in Texas. There's one about 20 minutes away. Next time I go there, I'll report back.
Huge fan of Buc-ee's. So we got 2, soon to be 3 in the state of Florida. We got one in St. Augustine was the first one that opened up, then Daytona, and they're trying to do one over in the Ocala-esque area. Still haven't figured out where that is just yet.
Surprised they didn't put one in Orlando yet, other than they'd have to buy up 7 different businesses just to put a Buc-ee's in.
God, they would have to buy up all of Disneyland or Disney World just to put a Buc-ee's there.
They would have put one in near Kirkland, but Universal Orlando bought it all for that new theme park they're putting in.
Which I still... Okay, so for those that aren't completely aware of what's going on in Orlando, so a few years ago, Universal Studios Orlando had bought property to expand on another theme park that they're doing called Epic Universe. And I find that absolutely hilarious because where they bought the property at is right next to Lockheed Martin in Orlando. Specifically West Orlando. They have another one in East Orlando. Well, when Lockheed Martin had originally bid on the property, Universal was like, oh, nay, we're not going to allow that to happen. They doubled the initial offer from Lockheed Martin just so they can have the property, which personally I find hilarious because an entertainment has more like liquidable cash to buy the property than a DoD contractor. Put that in perspective.
Which is which is crazy. I worked at Lockheed Martin as security for a few months before I ended up getting into the firearms industry, and that was insane. But to know that the Department of Defense contractor doesn't have the liquid assets to be like, no, you're not putting a bunch of tourists right next door to where we're making bombs and missiles. My father worked at Martin Marietta when we moved to Orlando, which merged with Lockheed and became Lockheed Martin. And that's crazy to me that they couldn't sit there and say, no, we need to keep some integrity with what we do.
Well, if
But
anything, a
then
way to be
from
able to keep things more secretive, because I mean, it's Lockheed Martin. I would like to hope everyone's heard of Lockheed Martin at this point. They're known for their airplanes.
for a lot of that.
Yeah. And other stuff that goes up in the air and past the air too. And they couldn't outbid Universal Studios to buy property.
No, no, they got that. I guess it's not Marvel money, but they still got some money left over from schlepping King Kong and
Oh
everything.
yeah. I just find it hilarious that they had the better ability of doing that than a DoD contractor. Just find it wild. Which personally I'm waiting for it to open up, not because I want to go to it, but because I would like to be able to go to the other theme parks without waiting 240 minutes for a friggin' ride.
Look, I love Halloween. I went back to Orlando primarily to see my family and my kids, primarily. But I love going to Halloween Horror Nights. I love going to Hollow Scream down in Tampa Bay. But to know that they had enough money to outbid Lockheed Martin for that property is insane. But one of the original ideas they had for that land, or for one of the lands in the new park, was a J.R.R. Tolkien land, like Lord of the Rings, like a whole area dedicated to Lord of the Rings.
That would have
At
been
the last
dope.
minute, dude, at the last minute, the Tolkien family said, after they all agreed to it, they backed out at the last minute. Like plans were already drawn, they already had everything drawn out on the map, and they backed out of it. It became something else. I don't remember which area it was,
Mhm.
but the person that I heard it from, knew everything. And I've seen the plans. All the plans were leaked years ago, and that would have been awesome to
Oh
have
yeah,
something like that to go
to
to.
Rivendell
Oh my God, yeah.
to watch the beacons get lit. God,
Or to see the Eye of Sauron in the background or something like
dude, that would have been freaking
dope.
dope.
Yeah, see trees walk. Oh wait, never mind. But yeah, just to be in something like that, other than I mean, I know Nintendo's a huge thing, and they've got a Nintendo Land, and they've got Universal Monsters Land, which I understand their legacy and they try to hold on to it.
Mhm.
But there's so many other things you could have done with that, and the Token Land would have been dope. But it's okay, it's cool. I'm glad Disney bought Star Wars. Not so much, but at least it's going to keep going on in perpetuity. It's
Yeah.
not my Star Wars anymore, but I'm always gonna plant that flag. I mean, it's the only tattoo I have of myself is the Star Wars logo.
Mhm.
I just wish they would honor legacy stuff a little bit more than they have.
Well,
But
especially with Disney trying to go through and just expand on everything. Take it with a grain of salt, but within the one thing that I can say about the Star Wars universe, it's an entire universe that they can work with. And because of that, like you could take it so many different directions. Like for one,
mm,
having more than one female actor.
more than two black guys.
But yeah, I mean, there's some of all the people to go through and buy up the Star Wars franchise. Disney was probably the better to go about it because they have the ability to just throw gobs and gobs and gobs of money at stuff, and something will stick.
Look, I tried buying the Disney franchise from George Lucas, but apparently my $1,500 guideline was not enough for him.
Eh,
So he just went with money over just trying to keep his legacy going.
that son of a bitch.
Look, all I want to see, and they keep teasing it. It's still written there, and then it died off and it came back. But they still talk about doing a Rogue Squadron movie. And if all you do is give me Top Gun with X-Wings, I'm a happy guy.
Mhm.
Give me Top Gun with X-Wings. I'll be there for it. Give me a young Wedge Antilles, after, Return of the Jedi, just trying to keep that whole thing going. Let Luke go off and start his Jedi Academy. But I want to see Wedge Antilles trying to teach kids how to fly X-Wings, and give me something like Top Gun. Hell, the Top Gun Maverick was Star Wars. For fuck's sake. They sat there and threw down a trench to hit a little bomb shack. It was Star Wars. And everyone went nuts for it. Give me that with X-Wing, you'll make $1 billion.
Twice over.
Let me direct it. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm better than most of the people out there because I give a shit. For fuck's sake. Some of the stuff have you seen Skeleton Crew?
No, I haven't.
It kind of gives me Goonie vibes, like a bunch of young kids being like, we're going to go on an adventure with One-Eyed Willie, and they get in a starship, and it takes off, and it's a deactivated robot comes back, and he's got a peg leg. A fucking peg leg in Star Wars, and they're doing shit. But it's very Goonie-esque.
Mm-hmm.
It's got some type of 80s nostalgia to it, which apparently is what sells a lot of this Star Wars stuff now, is trying to give you some nostalgia. That's fine. But Star Wars, there's got to be a war in it. There's people got to die. It's not Star Happy Days for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see some violence to it. I know you got to keep it kind of, it's a kid's thing. You got to keep it kind of down. For the love of God, give me one R-rated Star Wars movie. It could be a one-off. Make it Rogue Squadron. Watch people blow up and get sucked in the vacuum of space. That's fine.
Well, I mean, so Disney's able to do that, and I mean, prime example being the Deadpool series, because there is nothing family friendly about it. But you go on Disney Plus right now, the most watched are going to be Deadpool, Deadpool 2, and Deadpool and Wolverine. I know, because I'm part of those statistics, because I spent the entire day watching all three in sequential order. It's great. It's great movies.
But technically, they also own 20th Century Fox now, which is the Aliens franchise. And there's some of those that are R-rated.
Yeah. Like,
let's go.
The possibilities are there. It gets a little muddy with different creative studios and whatnot. But I mean, even still, it's there. It's waiting to be written. It's just a matter of people going through and actually doing it. That's the biggest thing.
I won't be satisfied till I see Ellen Ripley as a Disney princess. She was a strong female character long before there were other ones. Although Indiana Jones had a strong female character in that one as well, with Marion. So let's go. Let's start recognizing those.
Yeah, the talent's there. It's just a matter of using it.
Well, they keep talking about this new Jedi Order movie with Rey leading the new Jedi, but
I don't know how I feel about that. Like,
no one wants my opinion on it, so we're not going to discuss it.
Yeah, Mary Poppins, but
make Mary Poppins a Jedi Master. Hell,
that's pretty much what they're doing.
Everything else. I've gone back and started listening to the Timothy Zahn trilogy, the book trilogy, Heir to the Empire, Dark Forces Rising, and The Last Command, which had Grand Admiral Thrawn's first appearance and all that stuff in it. And I got to tell you, those books are so amazing. If they would have just stuck with a lot of that stuff, oh my God, it had been so much deeper and more meaningful to so many people that just cared about this stuff since 1977. But, oh well. I'm going to get off that soapbox too, because no one wants to hear me bitch about Star Wars.
You'd be surprised. Like, so one of my buddies over here, if you and him were to get on the topic of Star Wars, weeks. That would be fucking weeks.
I'm trying not to turn the camera to my bookshelf that has a lot of my memorabilia on it, which is far smaller now than it was 10 years ago. But I'm not going to go there. We're not going to go there.
Well, unfortunately, I do got to call it for this session, just because.
Yeah, I like how we're going to do it. We're going to do a tight 30 minutes.
Yeah. So we're going on an hour, 33 minutes, and 42 seconds. Nah, I do enjoy this platform a lot better than doing all the recordings in the restaurants and whatnot. Which, I mean, that's still going to be applicable throughout the 2025 year. Just not as much. But Ryan, it's been a pleasure. We hope to see you again on the channel. Hopefully I'll have a different background. Something that's not...
Yeah, I was going to say, are you going to take that down sometime so we can see your background? Because, I mean, this is not digital. This is all real, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, yeah, this is totally real as far as you know.
I like how you do that and your bicep completely disappears.
Oh, yeah, totally real to someone. Like Stevie Wonder. He could see what I'm talking about. But, Ryan, once again, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'm going to have you back on the channel at some point.
Whatever you want, big guy.
All right.
I'm always here.
Well, with that being said, thank you for watching the Intoxication Station, and we will catch you again soon.